Greetings and salutations, viewers. I'm StarPrincessHLC, and welcome back to Asagao Academy. When we last left off, Jaques got broken somehow. I'm not quite sure what happened, but John is very upset about it. PBG asked us about it, but we chose not to tell him. But he is very distraught over the loss of his precious robotic bird, so I'm not sure what's gonna happen next. So as soon as the bell rang, we shot out of our chair.
Hana!
Oh, bye. No, not now.
See you later.
Don't worry about me. I'll see you after lunch. I sped out of the room, evading students pouring into the hall, and turned away from the crowd towards Bluebell House. I passed the sign where John first stood and told me that we were in the same class, then speed walked past the field I got lost in that very day at Asagao. Ah, memories. If John was suffering on his own, I wasn't about to sit around and let him. John, it's me, Hana. You weren't in class today and I was worried, so I came to check up on you. Won't you let me in? There was only silence from inside John's room, and suddenly fear crept into my heart. John, you're not like sick or anything, right? You haven't done anything rash, right? But he killed himself over a bird, I doubt it. John! The doorknob turned with a soft click and the door opened about an inch. I peered into the crack, unable to see anything but the blue walls of John's room.
John!
Again, there was no response. After a moment's hesitation, I gathered my courage and pushed the door open. John sat huddled in the center of the room, the blanket I laid over his shoulders the afternoon before drawn tightly over his body. It looked like he hadn't slept or even brushed his teeth since I saw him last. Even his clothes looked to be the same ones he was wearing the day I left him, his jacket smudged with oil from Jaques' gears. I closed the door softly behind me and sat across from him on the sofa, tucking my legs underneath me.
John!
His eyes were red and puffy. There was no doubt in my mind that he had been endlessly crying. I'd been there before, though not exactly. I knew something of what he was going through. I reached into my backpack and took out a small bottle of water, sliding it over to him. For the first time, John responded to me. He grabbed the bottle and tried to twist the top open. His grip was weak, and after 2 failed attempts, he stared sadly at the bottle. How weak was he? Had he been eating or drinking at all since yesterday? I twisted the top of the bottle, then handed it back to him. Within a few quick gulps, the bottle was empty. My fears were confirmed. He probably wasn't eating or drinking. He thumped the bottle on the table, the hollow echo sounding loud in the silence of the room. Then, for the first time since I came in, he looked at me. It actually kind of sounded more like he squished the bottle rather than dropped it, but I'm going to quit the drama club.
What?
You're what? He held up a hand as if to stall my questions, glancing away. You understand, Jaques was my star, my queen. He was my everything. I can't go on without him. So I might as well quit. Nothing will ever be the same. John quitting the drama club was the most ridiculous thing I ever heard of, especially with the depth of extremes his own drama queen personality could get to. Still, if John set his mind on something, there was little I or anybody else could do to dissuade him. I bit my lip and nodded. But after seeing his passion for his work, after finally coming to the conclusion that I wanted to join the play to be with him, I didn't want him to quit. Not after all the hard work he'd gone through. Oh, I'm getting so emotional over that robotic bird, I'm sorry. I'm going to dissuade him. Even if this was what John decided to do, I knew better than that. He knew better than that. This was a decision made in a momentary fog of sadness. It wasn't something he should stick to, or else he would regret it down the line. So, I really don't think you should quit. John turned to stare at me blankly, wrapping the sheet around his head so he looked like a nun. It made me want to laugh, but I held it in. You know how much the drama club means to you, and I'm sure Jaques wouldn't want you to quit either. I'm sure he would be on your shoulder right now, giving you a ton of sass. For the first time I realized one of the reasons Jaques was so important to John. He balanced out John's personality. Jaques was able to quickly nip John's anxiety in the bud with humor, refocusing John's thoughts on Jaques' sass instead of letting him descend into the darkness. What is this, Kingdom Hearts? I knew I couldn't replace Jaques, but maybe... Don't tell me what Jaques would have wanted. How could you even know? You didn't even like him. What? No, I loved Jaques. John, I'm just as sad as you that he's gone. As soon as it was out of my mouth, I wanted to take it back.
No!
That wasn't what I meant to say. Hana? The warning was clear. I nodded and hung my head. I messed up there. That was definitely my fault. But all I wanted to do was make it better. John shouldn't leave the drama club. I glanced up at him. He was staring wistfully out the window, the clouds having finally parted and let in some sunlight. As the sky reflected in his eyes, an idea suddenly hit me. Wasn't there another option? John heaved a heavy sigh, resuming his dejected state. I wasn't sure how he would take it, but it was worth a try. After all, it was just a suggestion. All he had to do was say no if he didn't want to do it. He wouldn't get upset about a suggestion, would he? John, I was thinking, why don't you just go to the pet store and get an actual bird? One that looks exactly like Jaques, and you could tell everyone they're the same bird, just pretend everything is the same. John looked at me in surprise, but didn't say anything. I pushed through. I could even go with you if you want, and then you could keep going with the play. You wouldn't have to quit the drama club, and nobody will ask bad questions. What do you think? Huh? John released something that sounded like laughter, but it wasn't. It definitely wasn't. How could you suggest such a thing, Hana? Replace my precious Jaques like he's a piece of meat or an object? Well, he is an object. He's a computer program. Or he was, I guess. What the F is wrong with you? John slammed his hand on the table, and I jumped to my feet, somewhat shaken. Over my dead body, Hana. I never thought you were this kind of person. I'm glad I found out, though. I can't believe I almost made you a tree in my play. Calm down, it was just a suggestion. If you don't like it, you don't have to do anything about it. Get out of here. This is a sacred space. The likes of you aren't welcome. John glared at me like the patriarch of some 1950s family, and I picked up my bag. I was just trying to help. Out! I stumbled out into the hallway, the door slamming behind me. As much as I knew he wouldn't like the suggestion, there was no reason for him to react the way he did. It was his friend, not an alien in human skin. Or I was his friend, not a okay. He should have given me the benefit of the doubt, should have trusted where I was coming from. No. I shook my head. Grief did more than make people sad. It made them sensitive, stressed, volatile. Looking back at the months after my mother died, I did my best to contain my emotions, but even then I lashed out. Especially at the people I loved most. John was going through a hard time, and I might have made things worse for him. No longer hungry, I decided to skip lunch and go straight back to class. I could use the extra time for practice anyways. The next day, John was back in class. I didn't feel confident enough to go up and talk to him, but it was just as well. Even sitting in class, he evaded my gaze. It was as if I had physically wounded him by suggesting to replace Jaques, the very possibility a poison to his soul. Oh dear, is this going to give us a bad ending? PBG and Shane tried to joke around with him like normal, but it wasn't working. The class, having lost their primary jokester and mood maker, was suddenly dreary and hard. Even people who didn't usually interact with John on a daily basis felt it. God, what is with this stupid assignment? Why are we trying to solve an impossible puzzle? I hate this.
Oh yeah.
No, the guy said that one of us is going to open the cube and that person will get a great prize. You just have to keep trying. I don't want to keep trying. This is bull. As the days passed, the mood got worse. But at least John was around. Even if we weren't talking, that put my mind at ease. The third day after John came back to class, we were all gathered in the cafeteria for lunch. For the first time, John wasn't avoiding my gaze, and everybody was unusually cheery. Then Shane said something he never should have said.
Hey.
John, Jaques hasn't been around for a while. What's up with that? God damn it, Shane! My fork dropped onto my tray. I mean, you know, sometimes birds need to migrate for a while. Jaques just went on a little vacation. Migration? You mean what birds do for the winter? It's spring now. Heck, it's almost summer. Jaques' species doesn't even do that kind of thing. Besides, John scoffed. Well, thank you so much for telling me what I already know about my bird. I'm saying that Jaques wanted to take a bit of a break, okay? Don't go question me just because you're such an elitist British know-it-all. That's not what I was doing. It just doesn't make any sense. So you thought I was lying? Yes. He stood abruptly. PBG put a hand on his shoulder.
Hey.
Dude, calm down. It was just a question. And Jaques has been gone for a while. Even I was worried about the little guy. I can't believe this. John gathered his tray and stormed out of the room. I watched him go with worry in my heart. But he wouldn't want me to go check on him, would he? After he was so angry at me for so long, he would want comfort, but not from me. I glanced at PBG, who was staring at John's empty seat, a look of complete confusion on his face. Aren't you gonna go talk to him? PBG shrugged, grabbing a peanut and popping it open. Haha, 'cause he's peanut butter gamer. When John gets like that, I usually just leave him alone. He'll cool off. Everyone deals with grief, anger, etc. in their own way, so... I stared at my food, no longer hungry. Apparently, the mood for the rest of the guys was the same, as the conversation came to a fairly complete stop. Nobody liked fighting, but nobody seemed to think going after him was a good idea. We finished eating in silence. When we got back to class, John was nowhere to be seen. Oh dear. Shane stared guiltily at John's seat. I shook my head at him. We just had to let John be. Yeah, obviously he's still taking it hard. When I got to the dorm that evening, exhausted after the tension of the day and having to explain to PBG and Shane why John hadn't come to class, all I wanted to do was sit and practice my game. But of course, things were never that easy. What now? Aw, you lose. Thanks for playing. Ugh. Did you lose again? Yeah, I moved to this new level of difficulty. Now it's, you know, I mean, it's way harder. That's the whole point of difficulties. Really, let me see. Mai climbed into my bed and sat against the back wall, positioned just right so she could see over my shoulder. Okay, go. I stared, not really willing to start playing again. I got the feeling that Mai watching me wasn't going to help me get any better. Well, go! With a sigh, I restarted the game. The loading screen cleared and I searched for my first few combos as the game's clock counted down. 3, 2, 1, go! I started off for a section of pink blocks to the left. No, there, the blue one! What? The blue one, on the other side. Not entirely sure what she was talking about. I switched to a set of blocks on the other side. Not that one. Oh, it set off a combo anyways. Look at you go! I gritted my teeth and looked for more combos, trying desperately hard to concentrate. Suddenly, my fingers slipped off my phone. Mai was bouncing up and down on my mattress, making it difficult for me to keep things steady. Do you mind? Oh, sorry, I'm just so proud of you, Hana. Look at you kicking butt. I frowned. Where was the combo I was going for? I swore I just had it. But by the time I found it again, my opponent found theirs. A herd of blocks were dropped by their monsters into my field, and I lost the game. It was the fastest game I lost yet. It was worth a try. Wow, that's rough. Wanna go again? I think I know some flaws in your technique. No, I think that's enough for tonight. I have homework to do. Aw, if you say so. I set my phone aside, making a mental note to set aside time for practice when Mai was at volleyball. Mai scooted over to the edge of my bed, patting me on the back with two of her famous back-breaking thumps. I really am so proud of you. I know you're going to make history, and I can't wait for it. I smiled in spite of my annoyance.
Yeah.
I hope so. Thanks, Mai. No problem. Thanks for even trying.
Yay!
Thanks to you, I'm finally close to my beloved Jared. Yeah, fortunately he's not a romance option, it seems. That would be very awkward if we stole that away from precious Mai. Yeah. Why don't you do your homework? Fine, if I have to. Jeez, Hana, such a backbreaker. I'm glad you're feeling better now too, Hana. Did you say something? Nope, not at all. The next day, John stayed for the entire class period. He still looked worse for wear, a good deal paler and less cheerful than he was before everything went down, but at least he was here. Shane tapped him on the shoulder at the beginning of class, making some kind of hand motions I didn't get. It looked like he was trying to throw a baseball. John motioned back, a slight smile on his face, and Shane finally relaxed. Words. A smile breaking through his usually cold demeanor. It's a miracle. I tried to hide my smile, but couldn't. Miss Shizuka kept glancing at me like I was secretly making fun of her or something. And that's why the international government bodies agreed to set aside a decent sum of money in case of alien attack. The combination of the XCOM plans and the Kobayashi Maru prove that humans... Is this taking in the same universe as XCOM? Weird. Maybe that explains my pink hair. I'm descended from aliens! I was so happy to see him finally recovering that I could barely contain myself. As soon as class ended, I bounded up to John, happy as a clam.
John!
John, hi. Before I even had a chance to speak, my requests burst forth. Do you mind coming on a walk with me? I feel like I haven't got to talk with you in a while, and I kind of... miss it? Despite the suddenness of my request, John smiled. Of course I will. I've been meaning to talk to you about something anyways. As we gathered our things and left the class together, it was impossible not to notice my and Shane's leering faces. I stuck a tongue out at them both, then skipped out with John. It's like, yeah, stop. Don't you look at me, man. Don't look at me. John and I headed out to campus, where we picked a direction and took off. It was different walking around the academy with John, not worrying about getting to class on time or having a particular goal in mind. The buildings that usually look so oppressive in their scale and ornateness, especially compared to my old concrete building of a high school, now seemed like gleaming soldiers protecting us on our way. Suddenly, the academy was beautiful and vast. Despite a relatively small number of students and the handful of buildings that made up the campus, Asagao owned the land around for miles. The wide rolling spaces outside the main hub of the school were common areas, kept clean and safe by campus patrols, and that was why so many students felt comfortable resting or eating in the fields nearby. Why are we getting this information now, by the way? It was kind of like a paradise, wasn't it? John and I walked through one of the fields together, smiling as the wind tousled our hair. Whee! I really love it here. Yeah, it's not bad. The smile slid off my face. Oh, that's a good sign. John seemed preoccupied, and a cloak of disappointment fell around me. The beauty had cast a spell on me. For some reason, I expected John to be acting the way he did when I first met him, when we first took that walk across the Asagao fields together. Of course, he wouldn't just magically be better. I, of all people, should know that. I wish there's something I could do to help you. You and Jaques were such good friends. You were there for each other when it mattered the most. Anybody with eyes could tell how much love and friendship you had for each other, even though one of you wasn't technically alive. Honestly, I kind of envied it. I wish that I could be as close to someone as you were to Jaques.
Really?
Really? You aren't that close with Mai? Mai and I are close, but, well, I was kind of hoping we could be that close. Oh, look at his face. Ah, I said it. Oh god, no. He's gonna hate me. Oh, high school trauma. I'm sure I'll be fine. I put my hands over my burning cheeks. John laughed. Well, I'm touched, frankly. No, but really, if you and I could keep spending time together, and I could maybe make handling your loss a little easier, that would make me so happy. That's super cheesy. You're all cheese, aren't you? Ugh. No. John laughed heartily. John's got an amazing laugh. Coming from anybody else, I'm not sure I would believe them. But from you, Hana, John slipped his hand into mine. I believe you. Aww. John held my hand for the rest of the walk, right up until we went our separate ways in front of Primrose House. As I watched him leave, I held my hand to my chest. Aw, it still had its warmth. Aw, that's slightly creepy. I wasn't sure where John and I stood regarding our feelings for one another. With everything that happened, it didn't seem the time to burden John with questions about where we were at or where this was going. Certainly feelings were there, even if we never explicitly said anything about them. But I thought that was just as well. The way things were progressing and the way we felt, they were things that didn't need to be said. At least not yet. Not now. Aw, that was rather sweet and touching. I think I'm gonna leave it off on there just because that was so sweet and touching and kind of interesting, because it's like, well, he seemed pretty mad at us before with the whole, you know, you can always get another bird. I mean, it was stupid to say, yes, but it wasn't that terrible. But I guess, yeah, if you're in that kind of state, your first reaction isn't like, I should replace my loved one. But anyway, that was cute, adorable, and it had a little bit of tension, but it seems to be slowly dying out. So let's hope that John's better in the next one, and maybe we're getting closer to the tournament to decide whether or not we get to stay with the normal boots. So, who knows? But for now, this is StarPrincessHLC saying thank you very much for watching, and have a fond farewell.